it is the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to your November 2017 episode of Out of the Vault. If you are new to my channel, first of all, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, and to all of you who are returning, I'm sure that you are all excited for what is probably one of the biggest fan favorite segments on my channel over here, and that, of course, is where we talk about nothing but the magic of Disney and Disney animation. And today, we are going to be taking a look at a very interesting Disney classic. As a matter of fact, it was kind of a pivotal one because it happened right in the middle of what is known as one of the greatest times for Disney animation, and that, of course, was the Disney Renaissance, and that is the 33rd classic from 1995, Pocahontas, starring the voice talents of Mel Gibson, Billy Connolly, David Ogden Stiers, and a very unknown 22-year-old at the time named Christian Bale. Yeah, can you believe that? Christian Bale was actually in this movie. So before we get into the actual meat of this review, I want to give you guys a very interesting story. I know that a lot of you request certain Disney classics or Pixar or Studio Ghibli films to be reviewed, and I'm all for that. I was actually planning to review Disney's 43rd classic this month, Treasure Planet, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but then when I was starting to put everything together, I noticed that Pocahontas and a couple of other Disney classics showed up on Netflix. And then I was taking a look at the list of all the Disney classics that I still have left to review. So I'm looking at the list: Pocahontas, Dinosaur, Home on the Range, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, if I just give my fans back-to-back Drek in the Disney Classics library, I am never going to hear the end of it. So I figured it would be important to put some of the still remaining gems to the side and put this one to review and see what I think about it. So, back in 1995, I was 13 years old, and yes, I did see Pocahontas in theaters, and I do remember enjoying the movie, but not really enjoying it as much as I did some of the other classics in the Disney Renaissance, like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, etc. I have been going throughout these years not really saying good things about it, and it was finally time for me to take a look at this movie again and see what I think as an adult. I gotta be honest with you guys, I was surprised with the outcome. I still don't think that this is by any means a great Disney classic, but there's a lot of greatness in this movie. First of all, I gotta give it to the animation. One of the few things that I have to say is a big positive about Disney Renaissance films is all the unique styles of animation that were given to us. And what I loved so much about Pocahontas was they really tried to make these characters look as real as you possibly could, because one of the most important things to know about Pocahontas is that this is the first Disney classic that is based on a true event in American history. Now, granted, it's not entirely accurate, and I know that to be true because I have a wife who happens to be a, you guessed it, history teacher, so one of the few things I wanted to make sure that I did was make sure that I went over the actual story with her to make sure that I didn't say anything wrong when it came to the actual events in American history. It was nice to see some very realistic looking characters, very anatomically correct, and it was just a very interesting experience because the animation, especially on the Native Americans, they're very unique, and I don't necessarily think that they are bad, stereotypically animated drawings, but they are still very respectable to the indigenous people of the time. The color palette is absolutely beautiful. It's great to see all these beautiful backgrounds of the New World at the time to the Europeans when they first started establishing colonies here, and of course Pocahontas is the story of the establishment of the first surviving territory of Europeans, and that of course was Jamestown, Virginia. But the fact that they used all of these colors like blues and pinks and purples and reds and oranges, it just gives this movie something truly special, a true extra dimension. And I've got to say, it's aesthetically pleasing. It's very comforting on the eyes. I absolutely loved how the colors and the animation worked hand in hand so well. Then there's a couple of the characters, and we'll get into the downfall in regards to the characters, but there is some really entertaining moments in this movie, quite frankly, because of the animals. Miko, who is a raccoon, Flit, who is a hummingbird, and Percy, who happens to be the main antagonist's dog, and just seeing these characters interact with the actual people, interact with each other, and considering the fact that none of them actually spoke, rather they actually just used regular animal sounds, one of them was actually voiced by the great Frank Welker, it was just nice to see this little bit of a comedy relief within the movie, and they definitely give you the cute factor within the film. And the songs are great too. Alan Menken, I think some of these were even up for awards, they may have even won awards, but they're wonderful songs. They're definitely some of the best that Disney has to offer. Just Around the River Bend is fantastic, it's enjoyable, Colors of the Wind is absolutely beautiful, even Savages is a very powerful song depicting two different sides of this character-based story. But then there's a little bit of the downfall, and that is the fact that the characters, as well as the story in general, just kind of seems a little flat and one-dimensional. Even though there are all these beautiful things to be found within this film, I didn't really find myself really liking the characters. Even the main characters, Pocahontas and John Smith, there were just a couple of things that I really didn't see to be believable. I mean, the fact that Pocahontas starts speaking English with John Smith in less than 2 minutes is definitely not accurate. The fact that there is this insta-love, I mean, could it have been something that happened at the time? Perhaps. I'm not sure. And if you're also looking to watch this movie for a history lesson, let me tell you something. This is a Disney-created film based on true events. This is not at all historically accurate. As a matter of fact, John Smith was well into going into his 40s, and Pocahontas was not even 14 when they actually discovered each other, and there wasn't even a love story involved with these two characters. Yes, she did throw herself upon the mercy of her father to prevent this man from being killed, even though he was a stranger, but she just said that this is not the way of our people. We shouldn't be killing this possibly innocent person, even though we have no idea what he's trying to do. At least she saw the good in a stranger. And that's pretty much where the true story was, but roping it into a love story is not necessarily a good thing. And then, of course, there is the fact that even the side characters, minus the animals, there's just no depth to these characters. You can't get behind them. You really can't enjoy them. There is Thomas, who is this young explorer who idolizes John Smith, practically. That's the voice of Christian Bale. He really is nothing to this film. And even characters like Kocoum, who is one of the strongest Indian braves, and Pocahontas' father, and Pocahontas' best friend, there's just no enjoyment in regards to really getting to know and really getting behind these characters. Although I will say that some of the voice acting is very good, yet I am still laughing about the fact that even though Mel Gibson is Australian, he sounds like he has an American accent rather than trying to do a British accent. That was just very, very funny. And David Ogden Stiers definitely brings something interesting to the table because he voices Governor Ratcliffe as well as his assistant Wiggins. And it is just really cool to see this very talented actor who comes back after doing Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast, just changing his pitch. You would never guess that he was actually voicing these two characters together. So yes, overall, I don't think that this movie is the best, but there is a lot of stuff in this movie that I actually did enjoy, and I'm actually glad that I'm feeling this way at the end of this movie. Is it a movie that I want to see again? I'm not going to want to see this one at all by choice. I mean, I know that one day when I have kids of my own, I'm gonna make sure that they become just as great as film appreciators as I am, and that means watching all the Disney classics, and that means the good, the bad, and the ugly too. And this is not a movie that I really want to purchase on Blu-ray or DVD. I mean, I was glad that I went back to this movie after not seeing it for over 20 years, but at the same time, I'm sort of feeling the same way that I felt after I walked out of that theater in 1995. Somewhat enjoyable, but overall, it is really not one of Disney's best. So, Pocahontas, I still say if you are a completionist, definitely take the time to see this movie, and I'm gonna give Pocahontas 2 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please put your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Pocahontas. And I'm looking forward to December, where we review the newest addition to the Pixar library. I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.